All right, doing some Florida picking. We just got this Davis number 5 keyseater loaded up on my trailer. Something that I purchased from my buddy Lance.
Hey guys, you'll see my post picture of Adam with his new keyseater.
Yeah, he just shot a picture. He's gonna throw it up on Instagram. So this was one of his finds in his travels, and we made a deal on it. It's actually, I think it's in a little better condition than the one that I currently have. Plus it came with all of this original clamping systems right here. You got the V block, we got the down clamp here, the support bar, and I've never seen one like that comes complete with them. So I wanted to go ahead and pick it up, and it might be a nice little restoration piece for the shop.
I think it'd be a great project because it'll be very doable.
Yeah,
very doable.
This is there's the cover for it right there. We just took it off, so it is missing the little hook there for the handle that kind of latches it in place. So I just took it off, but there it is.
Oh, I got that other switch for you too.
Okay, yeah, that's right, we'll get that. So we're getting ready to head out of the farm here and head on back to the house.
Give a shout out to our buddy Jason.
Jason McDonald?
Jason McDonald.
Yeah, McDonald Handmade on Instagram. Jason, he's a good guy. And
he helps me source a lot of stuff. So
yeah, he's a good guy to buy machinery, old machinery and tools and stuff like that from. And I believe he's the one that found this, right?
Yeah, he sent me a picture of it. I'm not sure he knew exactly what it was, but he sent me a picture of it right away. I was like, no, we need to gather that up. I know somebody who will want that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna give it a good home. And luckily for me, I've already got most all the cutters for it that I need, and they were the ones that came with our old machine. That was my dad's. I had sold them. Actually, I traded them off. No, I sold them, and then I actually did some trading to get the cutters back, because the guy there that I had sold them to ended up not using them. So we made a deal, and I got them back. We got our lag down to the pallet, and then we got our straps. I think we're ready to go. I've got a shop project that I want to do, and I've been kind of digging through my scrap or drop pile, you might call it, trying to find some flat bar to do what I want. And I actually found a couple of these pieces here that'll work real good. This is some stuff that I flame cut a while back, actually whenever I was at Motion. This is some 1-inch thick flat bar. This is another piece, the same thing. This is where we had done some real heavy machining over on the shaper, just doing some test cuts on it right there. All right, this is another block I found that'll work, because what I need to make is 3 of them, and I'd like to kind of make them all about equal size. Those 2 are pretty close right there. This one here is 3-inch wide, so this may have been some cold rolled flat bar because it looks pretty sharp. 1 inch. All right, but what I'm going to do is make some anchors for the concrete, and I bought 3 of these D-rings. These are the weld-on style D-rings right here. This is the 1/2-inch diameter D-ring, and these are made to just weld on. You typically see these on trailers and places where you can hook a strap into it. And what I want to make is, let's just use this one because this is more about the size. I want to weld these onto a plate like this, okay? Just weld those on. We're going to have a 3/4 inch drilled hole here for a bolt to go through like that, so we'll have it bolted down. And then in the concrete, I'm going to drill and install these concrete anchors. These are the flush mount. And what you do is you drill a 1-inch hole, you stick them down in a hole, and then there's a little tapered insert inside there that you drive with a punch, and then it swedges this end out. You know, it swells this end out, and it keeps this from pulling out of the concrete. So we're going to install 3 of those, and then I think I'll make 3 of these guys right here with these D-rings. I got a couple more right here, and then these will get bolted down to the concrete, and then I can hook a strap or a winch or a come along or something to this right there. And ultimately what I'm doing is making 3 points that I can hook a strap or a winch to be able to pull things off of my trailer. Okay, so that's what I'm doing right there. There's nothing fancy about this, but I do think that I'm going to clean them up just for fun. We'll clean this flame cut up in the shaper, probably clean the surface up too, just to get some of the rust off of it. I know I'm just, you know, just killing time. Not really, you don't really need to do that. You can take a grinder and just grind it off. But anyway, I'm going to use up these 2 pieces here. We'll cut them into bandsaw and then clean up the sides. This was just some more of that flat bar that I had found right there. 1 inch by 3 inch hot roll flat bar. So we're not going to use these. We'll just utilize these 3 pieces right here. Let's start with trimming the ends to length. Cut that end off and I'll flip them around and cut them a length there. So we're just going to go up straight up junkyard style. I'm not going to go to the shaper with these things. I just took a flap disc and cleaned off the top of all 3 of them there so that we can get a good weld. So I'm just going to figure out where I want the hole drilled. I know that I want the D-ring to be welded on the end like that. And then we'll have the bolt sort of centered there. So something like that. Let's see where that's at. So we're about, let's just say, all right, we're going to go 1.5 inches from the end, and then we'll just put our hole about 1.5 inches from the end, just like that, on all 3 of them. You get those holes drilled in there, then we'll go to the welder and probably just stick weld these things together. Got to move these over 1/8 of an inch because they're a little bit wider than that first one. Our clearance hole will be 47/64. Come on, there we go. See just how easy it is to drill holes in mild steel right here, even at slower speeds than what the books recommend. Nothing to it. Now I'll just put some chamfers on there to soften those edges up. We're ready to start sticking these things together. So we've got the all the plates cleaned up. I dressed all the mill scale off of them with a flap disc. And I also took these guys here. This is what you weld down for the D-rings. I went ahead and dressed these sides as well. And up just a little bit, we'll fill all this in with our weld. I'm going to try to get you a nice arc shot in there. I've been kind of experimenting with that here recently. And then I'm going to be using my 1/8 diameter 7018 electrodes, and I'm just about out. So I'm going to burn these guys up right here. I've got some 11018s I can use if I don't have enough. But thought I'd mention this real quick since we're going to be using them to weld. Oh, moving the camera there. So 7018, I just wanted to go over that for those that's watching that maybe that's not aware how to read what this number is. 7018. So the first two numbers being a 70, that's going to be your tensile strength in 1,000 pounds. So 70 times 1,000 is 70,000. That's your tensile strength, 70,000 psi. All right, your third number, which is a 1, that's going to indicate the position that you can weld with this rod. With a 1, you can weld in all positions. So you can weld flat, horizontal, vertical, or overhead with this electrode. The 8 at the end of this number, the 8 indicates in the which manner you can weld with this as far as like the current goes. Okay, so you can use AC, alternating current, to weld with this electrode, and you can also use DC electrode positive for this, which is going to be reverse polarity. You really don't want to weld with straight polarity. It doesn't do a very good job, but this is typically always used with reverse polarity or DC electropositive. So there you go. There's a little rundown on what the 7018 means for these electrodes. One of the techniques I usually try to employ whenever I'm using my electrode here to weld is that I'm going to start a little bit ahead of where my actual starting point is. So I'll start somewhere in this area here, get the arc started, and then bring the electrode kind of quickly to this end, and then begin your weld. And I'm going to weld over where I just started, and then I'll finish it out and go all down to the end and then lift off. It's going to be a little noisy because I'm running my fume extractor, which just sucks all the fumes up and the smoke. So by the way, one more thing I'll point out on the 7018, I'm using a 1/8 diameter. So a good starting point, you can set your amperage at the same number as your decimal equivalent. So 125.125, you can set your machine around 125 amp, and that'll get you started there. Let's see if we can run a feed here. Good on there. If that flux don't want to cooperate with you, just use the wire brush. Sometimes when you're getting down in those corners like that, that flux really gets in there and wants to stick. All it takes is a lick with the wire brush and get it all cleaned off, just like that. And we moved over to the other side. I'm going to go ahead and get that one welded up before we build up the first side that we started with. Probably stuck in there just as much as the first one. So yeah, just get in there with the wire brush. Alright, so we'll just keep building it up. We'll probably put at least 2 more passes on each side there. more in there. What we'll do is put one up here, and then we'll come across the bottom again. Off a little easier now. Let's go. I think that side's going to be welded good, sufficient. We'll go ahead and flip it over and finish out the other side.
Just kind of lightly working to each side of the vise. Keeping my electrode just off of the funnel.
I just try to come back up over the flux.
Penetration, see how wide that funnel is? If you get good warmed up, it really flows in there nice.
Nice weld feed in there, good and strong. Once they cool down, I'll give them a good wire brush and it'll slick that right on up there. There you go. There's one of them down. I think the welds did pretty good. They look pretty decent there. All right, so I'm not going to bore you with two more of them. It's going to do exactly the same. And I'll bring you back once we have those finished up, all right? I lied to you, just in case I can get some better arc shots on these other two. I'm recording anyway, just so I know I got some more clips in case the first one didn't work out. whenever I'm restarting the rods there, you got a little bit of flux that kind of sticks out at the end of the rod. Sometimes the flux is covering the end of the rod. So I usually just take and I either just kind of spin it or just tap it on anything, the table, whatever's nearby. You can also use a file, just keep an old file around and kind of drag it on the file, and it'll cut the flux off the end of that. It makes starting these rods a lot easier. I usually try to throw them up here on the table. It's kind of easier to clean them up, the rod there. So one of the tricks that I picked up along the way I like to do, instead of just sticking the electrode in there and have it in this orientation, where you've got the spring mechanism over here, I was taught this. Take it and bend it 90 degrees like that, and put this in line with your hand, and you can put your hand around it a little bit easier. It may not be for everybody, but a lot of welders like doing that, and I picked up on it, and I really like it too. So you can kind of position it anywhere you want once you stick it in there. Don't stick though. Come on, baby. That time it's got flux on the end of it. And another trick you can do to help eliminate that is when you're coming off, when you're about to end the bead there, come off really fast. And a lot of times there'd be a ball of metal there that just falls to the floor. All right, one more bead, and then these will be done. Nice and hot. I can't help but wonder how many comments I'm going to get that says, why not just MIG it? Well, we got these guys finished up, still cooling down here, but they turned out real nice. I think these are going to work pretty good for what I'm doing. We'll get the anchors drilled into the concrete, and then we'll have just a nice hitch point for the cable or the strap or whatever to hook to, the chain, you know. So I think all the welds turned out pretty decent here. And I'm also excited that hopefully I got some good arc shots to share in the video there. You know, I've been showing welding on my channel since the beginning, you know, over 6 years, and I know I've had a lot of requests, people wanting to try to see the arc and see what I'm doing better. So some of the purpose of what I'm doing in this video was trying to share some of those techniques and maybe some tips and tricks there for you for stick welding or using electrodes anyway. So that's about it. I was going to point out, I'm going to try this stuff here whenever they cool off, this rust block by Evaporust. Instead of painting them or anything, I'm just going to spray them down with this and see how it does. It's supposed to protect steel for up to a year, you know, keep rust off of bare metal. So I'm going to give that a shot. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that, okay? Hey guys, we're taking a little field trip again back over to Mobile, to the YRC terminal. I've got a shipment to pick up, and pretty excited about this. This is another great tool that I have made a purchase on not too long back, probably about a couple weeks ago. My buddy Andrew Alexander, Blacksmith Tools, showed one of his beautiful Starrett 926 vises on his Instagram, and that's one that I have actually seen in person at a shop a couple of times. They're a little bit hard to come by, a little hard to find, and I was joking around with him about, how come he doesn't sell it to me? Because he's like, get out there and find you one. And I said, I have found one, but you won't sell it to me. So it just so happened the next day that another one of our friends on Instagram there, Phil, of Phil's Antiques, he was showing his. He's got a Starrett 926, and he's had it for a little while, and he decided that he was going to go ahead and let it go. So Andrew notified me right away that Phil was going to be selling his, so he put me actually in direct contact with Phil, and he and I talked over the phone, and we discussed a purchase for his Starrett 926 vise. So I am the owner of a 926 vise now from Starrett, and pretty excited about this. I'm on my way over there to pick it up now. I'll share with you guys what it looks like whenever we get it picked up. All right. Right now we're headed across the Bayway, I-10, going into Mobile, Alabama. Well, Phil did an excellent job crating this sucker up, so we can't actually see it here. Did a really nice job there. So thank you, Phil. I really appreciate it. We'll get this thing back to the house and get the crate unscrewed, and we'll take a look at this. Over to our right here is Battleship Memorial Park. That's where the USS Alabama is. They also have a submarine there and a lot of other really cool machines and equipment from back in the war days. So great place to stop and visit if you're ever driving through the Mobile area on I-10. Just pull off here and go check it out. You'll love it. Really nice place. Well, we made it back to the shop. We got the top off the crate. Phil's done a good job of wrapping her up. You can see it's a pretty big boy. I've got another bracket here to get loose, and then we'll get her uncovered. I'm chasing a cloud that's coming in. You see all them leaves, man. I just blew my pad off, and they all just coming right on in on me. But I'm getting some raindrops here. All them leaves. All right, let's see if we can take a peek. Look at all the leaves, man. All right. Here we go. Here is our new vise. There it is. So the Starrett. This is the Starrett 926. Yeah, buddy. All right, I gotta get it off the truck before it starts raining. All right, there's a better look at it there. We finally got her out of the crate. Here's your size, the 926, 6-inch wide jaw. We we got her inside, so we'll give her the old weight check here and see what the vise actually weighs. So I've got one of my older Starrett catalogs here. This is the catalog number 28, and I've got it actually marked in here for the Starrett vises right there. So you can see right there at the bottom, it is the 926C. This says shipping weight with the base is 205 pounds. That's probably going to be with you know, whatever crate or anything that they had originally shipped it with, maybe in some kind of wooden box. So let's put it on my digital scales here and see. This is a good for up to 400 pounds. There you go, 196.5. So you can round it up to 197 or round it down to 196. So I'm going to call it at 196 pounds is what the Starrett 196 is going to weigh. Very cool. We do have her opened all the way up, and it's got a maximum of a 10-inch opening there with still a full engagement of the nut. I like how the body here is fully machined. My buddy Andrew talks so highly of these Starrett vises, and his opinion is that these are some of the nicest vises that were ever manufactured. This was in great shape. Phil's taking really good care of it. I actually don't know where he got it from, but he said he's had it for a while. Just really nice, super nice. I've just got her sitting here on the table temporarily. I don't think this is where it's going to stay, but I will say I plan on this being a user vise in my shop. Just got to decide if I want to, you know, mount it here somewhere, if I'm going to put it on my welding table. But this one's not going to sit around. This one's going to be used. So here's your lock for it. It's a nice swivel design. Swivels nicely. And I can tell these are machine faces that they're sliding on, and it's got the grooves inside there as well, so that whenever you pull this clamp up, it actually locks into a groove there to keep it from spinning if you're really twisting on this thing a lot. See? So you can use it either, you can take it off of the swivel base there and bolt it directly down to a table, or use the swivel feature on it. You can see signs of it being used over the years. Not too bad. Just typical wear. The anvil portion of the vise has been hit on a little bit, which is perfectly normal, but this thing is in good shape. The jaws, the serrations are in excellent condition on both of them. Still a lot of good serrations in there that haven't been mangled or smashed up. Well, there it is. There's really not much more to say about it. Just really excited to finally get my hands on one of these guys. And you can see the size difference between my little Wilton right here. I forget what this one was. So that's a 4-inch width jaw on the Wilton. And of course we got this one being 6-inch. I think I forgot to show that earlier. Really stoked to have this. And thanks a lot, Phil, for offering this up to me. And we're gonna put this guy to work around the shop here. Funny story, guys. So I just showed you the new to me Starrett 926 vise that I picked up. Well, Abby and I were we had to run a couple of errands at lunchtime, and headed down the highway. There was a typical spot where there's usually people out there, kind of like a flea market almost, or a yard sale. People set up out there, and we're driving by. I didn't really think nothing of it, but I happened to glance over, and when I did, I saw a bunch of vises on the back of a guy's trailer. So I told Abby, I said, look, there's a bunch of vises over there. So she flipped around, and we went back to it, and let me show you what I ended up with. Look at that guy right there. This is what I saw sticking up at the end of his trailer there. I got a couple pictures I'll throw up there on the video. So this is a Columbian number 206. So it is a 6-inch wide jaw, 6-inch jaw up there, and of course swivel. And this one it was originally equipped to accept the pipe jaws, and that's the only thing about it. It is missing the pipe jaws, but that's how it was whenever he had bought it. But it's in good shape. It's not been abused at all. I mean, somebody's put a heavy green paint job on it, so it looks like it's been just well taken care of. The handles are just slightly bent, just because that's how these were always made, you know. Just you know, a little weak, so these are typically bent right there. And the only other abuse that I saw on it is the mounting holes right here. You can see now, he thought it was cast that and I told him no, what's happened there, somebody has burned the heads off the bolts wherever this was mounted. Somebody used a torch for whatever reason, maybe they couldn't get them off, and torched the head off, and they cut into the cast just a little bit there. You can see it on that one there as well. It's not enough to really cause any kind of damage to the base. There's just one little nick right there. So other than this and the missing pipe jaws, this is in really good shape. It's in excellent condition. So I struck a deal with him. I've never bought a Columbian vise until now. This is actually my first one. So I picked it up. I thought the price was fair. And he wasn't even intending on selling it. He was just using it to get people in. So it worked. He got me in there. I want to go ahead and weigh it. I'm going to turn this on, and we'll go ahead and give it a weigh just to see what our Columbian weighs. All right, we got it set to 0. And I'm going to lower this down just ever so slightly. Make sure all the weight's off of it there. Okay, so where are we at? We are at 156 pounds. Hopefully you can see that. 156 pounds for the Columbian 206. So anyway, I thought that was pretty fun. I didn't expect it. It was just yesterday whenever I actually unloaded the Starrett and brought it in and weighed it. And this was just by chance. I don't need it, but I sure wanted it whenever I saw it. I thought the price was right, so I picked it up. So just another one for my personal collection, unless somebody else comes along and wants to have it more than I do.